an eye here. Okay, it's 2:02, and we have 27 people on the line so far. So I think we'll get started. And I apologize for the short notice on this one. My schedule changed, so I kind of thought it'd be a good opportunity to get this going sooner than later. So with that said, we did do one back in December, and we had a fairly good turnout on that one as well. There was, I think, close to 50 people. To date, of all of our sites, we have converted over. There's a handful that are in a special study, so they haven't made the switch yet. And of the 250 odd sites, over half of you have made the change to bag sampling. We have heard a lot of feedback, some good, some not so good. And hopefully today you will add to that feedback for us. So this isn't necessarily a training session. It's more of a question and answers for operators to express any concerns, any thoughts, any ideas, any tips for other operators. I'll share some that we've received from some of the other operators if you guys don't raise them, and we'll go from there. If you're looking for direct training, feel free to reach out to me. You can respond to that email you got this from, and we can set up a time, and we can do a one-on-one. I'm open to that, and we can either walk through it, or I can, give you answer more questions. So just be aware that's available. The other thing before we start, on February 8th, and I haven't sent this notice out, it may have gone out in the most recent NTN data report, but we'll send it out by the Google Groups email server. And we will, on February 8th, I think it's at the same time as now, we're going to start doing training sessions for operators, whether you're a new operator or a long-time operator. We're gonna the first one that we're gonna do, it's on Monday, February 8th, and it's gonna be what we can do for you in terms of site support. So, it'll be a short, 10-minute slide on presentation on what we can do for you in terms of shipping, supplies, repairs, data downloads, stuff like that. And then we will open it up to you for questions. And at that first one, or if you want to chime in before then, we're going to be looking for what else do you guys want to see in terms of training opportunities. So keep that in mind. And after this is done, I'll send out an email with those dates and times. So if you're interested, you can block that off. So having said that, we're up to 35 participants. Does anyone want to start off with how many of you actually have started off or made the switch? I guess one thing I will start with is Amy Mager is on the line, and she's our you changed your title, I can't remember. So
yes, what am I exactly? I am the sample and data processing manager. So the group that I manage is responsible for receiving all of the samples and all of the supplies and getting all those supplies shipped back out to you. And then on the other end of the spectrum, I also supervise the data managers who get the reports out to you of your analyzed samples.
Okay, thanks, Amy. As well, we have Mark Olson, who's the program office and HAL manager on with us today. And we have Eric Urim from the program office as well, and he's helping with site support. Okay, so let's start with, what are your thoughts? How's it going? Anybody? Bags? Struggle to get them on the buckets? Struggle to get the lids on the buckets?
Yeah.
Tom, you got something to say?
I put it on. Yes, I'm curious as to, do you folks have some kind of guidelines for recycling these bags after they're used? You're obviously going to be generating a lot of used bags. And do we just throw them away, or is there some way to recycle them?
We are looking into recycling the bags because they are a different, they're a polyethylene with a mylar outer layer. It will take some extra effort to recycle those. In terms of the number of bags, other than the bag type, we are reducing the number of bags as well. That each bucket that was that you received was in a bag that was a one-time use bag as well. So, it does seem like a lot of bags, but we were using a lot of bags previous to this as well. So we are going to look into the recycling, and potentially it could be, you could fold up your used bags and send them back with your lids. We're looking into that.
Thanks.
Bonnie?
Yes, hi. I'm in California where it's mostly dry. So along the lines of having a lot of bags, I just want to make sure my bucket system stays closed because we've had no moisture. And so every week I still change that into a new bag, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so I'll have a lot of bags too. I've got lots of questions, but I'll just kind of go along with everyone here.
Hey, Richard.
Hey, Jerry.
Yeah, this is Jerry, by the way, and it's got my son's name on there from using it for school. Anyway, I was wondering, so I heard you say that those are specially lined bags. I don't know if you looked into, but the bags we use on the dry side for the MDN samplers are a little bit stretchy, and they stretch and fit over there really nice and tight. But I mean, if you have to have that special coating because of the sampling, then I don't know.
Yeah, it comes down to the material that's used. It's chemically, it's cleaner than what we were using for the dry side bags, cleaner than the buckets when they were washed. So that was part of the driving force behind switching to the bags, as well as the cost and the carbon footprint of shipping those 6-in-1 bucket boxes across the country back and forth.
Right. Well, the only other thing I can think of is I don't know how flexible you are or what types they make or whether you've already got a special order in for those, but the pleated bottom seems to make those others fit to the bucket a little easier, first of all. And I didn't know if you could get that same kind of a coating in a bag that might be maybe a little stretchy or a little, I mean, they are a real pain to work with, first of all. And the other thing, I didn't know if it would be possible to get a little valve for the bottom of the bucket in the future that might be like a diver's mask. That's a one-way valve. So you're not pulling it out and putting it in and dropping it on the floor. And, You just leave it in there, and when you put the vacuum on it, it will draw air out, but it won't let air back in.
Okay, yep, that's something we can investigate.
And the third thing is the strap that we use, the buckle on it's pretty big, and it makes it hard to get to finish putting the lid on when you get to the buckle. It just, it's just, you don't have any room to pinch that little tiny lip on the lid and pull it down when your thumbs or your fingers are hitting the buckle right at that one little point. I guess next time I'll try to start it on the other side of the bucket, but it's just a place where even the edge of that bucket lid hits the buckle.
Yeah, I've heard mixed results on whether you start putting the lid on closest to you and working your way back, or working from the back and working towards you. It seems to be a preference choice, and
Right.
it works better one way or the other for some people.
And I guess maybe in the future, if there was maybe some other, those straps are so thick that you really can't draw them up very tight. If there was something more in the line, it was more elastic and stretchy with a smaller bucket, or just some sort of I know bungee cords make one that has like a little locking mechanism, so you can stretch it out and it just locks right there wherever you stop if you slide it in the slot. I didn't know if there was any reason why we could or couldn't maybe change to something different if we found something that was easier to put on and sealed a little better, or what.
So the reason we went with this particular type was the long-term, and because these are a coated Velcro or a coated webbing, it'll stand up to weathering and the UV
Right.
better than the bungee cords or just straight webbing, which tends over time to start to flake and to potentially add more chances of contamination. So,
Okay. Yeah.
anyone else?
So Richard, there's a question in the chat about wondering if there will be video instructions available in addition to the written SOPs.
Yes, there will be. It's, I'm going to say 75% done. So we are in the process of making that available.
Hi, Richard. This is Adam from Everglades.
Hey.
I had well, I guess overall we've switched over and it's been going pretty good. Again, some difficulty with the bags and the lids, especially training some of the other operators who don't get out there every week. I guess first impression is it goes through a lot more gloves too, and it seems like the bucket is sometimes open a lot longer than it used to be, which is something I'm not a fan of. I mean, we've got gloves on and we're wearing masks and stuff, and we try to, not contaminate it or anything. But hopefully that gets better as both myself and other people who do it less regularly get used to it. But I do think even when we get really good at it, it's going to be a little bit longer time where it's actually exposed, and going through a lot more gloves just because that's part of the process now, I feel. But in terms of troubleshooting a couple little things, one of the first things I was wondering is with the step initially to wipe down the inside of the bucket before putting the bag in to get, if there, I guess, was any moisture left or bugs or debris that could have gotten in there. It says using a lab wipe. And I was wondering, for that step, can it be just sort of a standard towel, since that's basically removing weight and not really going to contaminate anything?
Yeah, so you can use like an unprinted, uncolored paper towel for that purpose.
Okay, because we have some like recycled, I mean, I guess they're brown because it's from recycled material, but
yeah.
Okay, because that'll save. We don't have any of the large Kim wipes or anything, just like the little guys, and we were going through a lot of that. And also in that process, how important is like getting everything hit with DI water and stuff like that.
I'm gonna say, like in the well, I guess you're in Florida. I was gonna say in the winter, it's not as there's not as much dust at a lot of the sites, but it's more, yeah, you just gotta kind of look at your bucket each week, and if there's, and I guess the key points are the rim, more so than the actual, say the bottom of the bucket.
Okay. Because yeah, I was
And you can
looking at it.
use deionized water or distilled water. Doesn't, whatever you have available.
Okay. And then after that, the other main question I had, and I'm not sure if this was brought up by anyone else, but the process of switching lids, is there a reason that, and it kind of goes back to less time exposed maybe, is there a reason that we can't take the lid that's on the bucket and take that off, put it on the sample, and then deploy the new bucket? Because that would seem to be less time of open buckets potentially, and also less time to get the lid contaminated or mixed up back at the office if the next week it's a different person or something.
Yeah. So there's a couple of sites in Colorado that are where they actually, they prepare their bucket, they throw it on their back, and they ski in a few miles to get to the site. And they had switched over back in early December, and they had mentioned where, using the 2-lid system, because they're out in the cold for the truck in, by the time they get there, that lid doesn't really want to adapt to the bucket. So we had them try doing what you said, taking the one lid from the bucket they took out and transferring it over to the old sample. And we had considered that at the start. One of the things we weren't quite sure about was depending on where you place so you take one bucket, take the lid from the new bucket, put it on the old one. When you do your cleaning of the collector, that was the question.
Right.
So, there is the opportunity to do most of your cleaning before you even open the lid on the old bucket, the lid seal. So you could do it that way. And then and then basically once you do that switch, you're really only cleaning your lid pad seal. So
right, the lid pads.
So if that's, and I've been kind of playing with that on paper and in my mind, and so it is, you could take a new lid every week, put it on your new bucket, take it out to the site, make that one switch, bring it back, and then that lid is basically used and it goes in the poly mailer the next week. So that can be done, yes.
Okay, because I thought that might make things easier, and also sometimes just in that step of the process you end up with moisture getting in the bag or on the lid just from the transport, and then that's the one you end up saving a clean lid for next week, but it's actually got moisture and some stuff on it, and that was one thing I was worried about. But
Okay.
I mean, I think I'll keep going the way it's written, and maybe I'll talk more about that with you after, about if we switch to what we just talked about there. But
Yeah,
I'll
and I
keep
think
going.
based on some of the feedback we've gotten, we will kind of update the SOPs kind of to accommodate that
Okay.
option.
Okay.
So yeah, we can talk about it more.
Okay, cool. Well, those were the two main things and a little bit of feedback I have. So I'll go back on mute now.
Thanks.
So this is Liz from Shenandoah. I haven't switched over to bag sampling yet. My plan was to do it next week. And I had the issue, so I was still playing with the practice bag today. Well, so I could, in theory, deploy the sample bag next week. And instantly the bag split all the way down to the bottom. Is there a chance where we can have extra bags if, say, for every week I split the bag attempting to get it on?
Yes. Your practice bag, have you practiced with it a number of times?
Nope, that was the first time.
Okay. Definitely we can we'll mail you some more bags.
Okay.
I know one of the sites in Minnesota, they opened their bags, and two of them had it looked like there's some mylar separation, and it looked like it was just a flaw during the production run where it kind of the bag fused together. So if you do come across any issues like that, preferably let us know right away, and then hold on to the bag, and we'd like to kind of get it back so we can go back to the manufacturer if it is something that's popping up frequently.
Okay. I'm sure mine was user error and or just tight bucket on the first deploying of a bag. But, since I'm clearly still like a very new beginner, I couldn't get without like trying to hug the bucket and smash the vacuum into it, I couldn't seem to get half the air out of it. In addition to, by the time you disconnect the vacuum, for what little bit of air I could get out, and attempting to get the little yellow plug in there, it kind of resucked back in. And I know with the MDN, I would usually like do a quick kind of grab kind of like fill up the bag like with air from the outside air, kind of do a little twist and set it down the bottom of the bucket to kind of create that vacuum to start with on the MDN one. But so I just kind of did like a quick little pull at the bottom on the practice bag just to see how it worked, and it kind of pulled straight up. And I'm like, well, that didn't work at all, even with the plug. So I don't know if it's just me and my practice bag, or if that is normal for other sites, or I don't know, or if I'm just doing something wrong altogether.
Okay. We can. I'll reach out to you offline, and maybe we can set up something to go through the procedures.
Okay. Thank you.
Richard, this is Amy. I just want to real quick add, so everybody knows that your box has a nine weeks worth of supplies. We do automatically include an extra bag. So you're always getting 10 bags with each box. You already do have one extra. Liz, we can get you more bags, no problem. But I just wanted, just so everyone knows, just for general knowledge out there, that you are getting an extra bag each time in case something happens like that.
So this is Robin in North Carolina, and I just want to mention a couple things that I have found those bags do kind of want to split down the seam, but I have also found that if you're aware of that, you can handle them in a way that keeps that from happening. The issue for me is really that, when folding the top of the bag over the top of the bucket, and I can't quite describe it, but I've been able to get around that pretty, knowing that bag might have a tendency to split on that seam, just sort of being careful with that rollover. So I think it is a tendency of the bag, but doesn't seem that hard to kind of work with that. And then a couple other things I've noticed. I initially thought the vacuum cleaner was doing what it would do in about 5 seconds or something like that, whatever it was pulling was what it was going to do. But I've discovered that there's some benefit to leaving it on a little longer, maybe 30 or 40 seconds, and the bottom of the bag continues to pull down a little bit. But the main thing is that top edge, and I feel like the thing the vacuum cleaner is actually helping with is cinching it down across that top edge. And so it doesn't actually seem to matter if some of the air sucks back in at the bottom, because the top edge seems to stay in place. And I have found that it's helpful both before I turn on the vacuum cleaner, kind of when I have both hands free, to just go around and work that edge down a little bit with my gloved fingers. And then while I have the vacuum cleaner on, to go around again and kind of work it with my hand. Seems to really help getting a cleaner fit around the top, which then helps quite a bit with getting the lid on. And I've also discovered, this is not so much putting the lid on in the site because it's up around chest level, but when I have it on the table, I initially was putting the lid on the far edge and trying to pull it towards me, which tended to pull the bucket towards my torso, which then is potentially contaminating the edge. And I've actually had pretty good luck putting the near edge on first, which then protects that lip. And then I can kind of hug the bucket a little bit as I put the far edge of the lid on. It's a little bit counterintuitive, but I've had a little better luck going from the near side of the bucket to the far side of the bucket when I'm preparing trying to get the lid on to prepare to get it out there. And I've actually had pretty good luck getting the lids on at the site, which is problematic in the winter because I get frost on the rim. But it's actually been a little easier than in some ways because I'm wearing gloves, so I can manhandle it a little bit more. In the past, I've always put that lid on without gloves, and I can do it pretty carefully. And you know, I used to use the bag for a glove as was recommended. But when there was frost on the rim of the bucket, that could be pretty tricky. And I actually find it a little easier to have gloves on there, which I had never tried doing before. Anyway.
Thanks, Robin. Yeah, and for gloves, it does help if you're using the vinyl type gloves, and we can supply you them, as opposed to the lunch lady type gloves, which are, you know, don't fit well and they're just a lot slippier. The other thing that you could try with getting the lid on when you're preparing it, is to use if you're on a desk or a table or a lab bench that's kind of smooth and slippery, to put a rubber mat or something down and then put your bucket on it. That way, when you are, pulling that bag over the lip, over the rim, it's not sliding all over the place and it just kind of stays where you want it to stay. So that's something to try as well.
Okay, this is Jim at the Southern Iowa site. I have a question about the vacuum. When I put the bag in, and I finally mastered that, but when I try to draw with the vacuum to draw the air out to suck the bag down to the bucket, the vacuum only runs about 10 seconds or so and shuts off long before the bag is really settled into place. Is this normal?
No. And I've been trying to find, I thought it was you that had made the comment somewhere, and I've been trying to find it all day. We will get you a replacement vacuum shipped out, and yeah, it should last. You should be able to press the button and it's gonna run until you take your finger off the button. I've heard of one other site up in Alaska that something similar with their vacuum was occurring, where it's runs for 10 seconds and then it quits and then you got to start again. So
That's not normal.
We had that happen in Minnesota, but then I just left it charge overnight. And it was just like when I first got the box and I did that and it wasn't totally charged, and it would do that run for 10 seconds and stop. But then when I let it charge overnight, I haven't had a problem since.
I had the same experience here at Everglades. That first day, it turned on like it was fine, but it clearly didn't have enough charge and died. So perhaps it's not charging properly and a full enough charge that it can work fine. I even use it now plugged in sometimes. I'm not sure if that would be another way to maybe check it.
Huh.
Jim, are you, I assume you've had it charged, and it could also be the charger itself. May not.
I will, yeah, I will check it again. I leave it on the charger all the time because it's at a site where I'm just there once a week. I will
Right.
check it to make sure that everything is connected and working good. But the first time I used it, it had been on the charger for several days, so that should not be a problem, but I'll
Right.
check it to make sure.
Okay, check it and then let me know.
Okay, will do.
Thanks. All right. Anybody else? Bonnie? You're muted, Bonnie.
Okay, multiple clicking on unmute there. Okay, I haven't heard or seen anything, but there's still a third bucket that stays on the dry side because you guys sent us 2 where we switch out. And I just wanted to make sure I have one bucket that just stays there open all the time because it's never raining. And I clean that off the rim each week. I used to take that and send it back to you guys and put a clean one, the one that I switched over that didn't get wet. So I don't know if that's unique to me. I have that third one. Am I ever going to send it back to you guys, or is that something I'm responsible for keeping clean? Because that's where the lizards and birds perch on it. And I just want to double check. I was supposed to keep that third bucket.
You are supposed to keep that third bucket. We can send you additional buckets because we do have extra supplies, and then you could just rotate those out.
Okay.
And just, yeah, so you could take one out with you and then change it and then take the other one back, and you can just wipe it down or whatever at the office.
Right, because right now it's one that doesn't have the hole plug in it,
Right.
which
And
is
it,
fine, but I just, okay. And how often then should we be sending you stuff like it used to be every 6 weeks? You
Right.
sent us 9 weeks. I
so,
haven't heard that far along the process very much.
so now it's what you're going to be sending back to the lab, other than your, if you have a weekly sample, it still comes back in the bottle, in the 1 liter bottle with the small box. But for lids, that's the only thing you're going to ship back now. And those will come back inside your box. There's a poly mailer. And basically what we're saying is when you have 7 used lids, put them in the, tape up the mailer, put a shipping label on it, and ship it back to the lab now. We are trying to be proactive in sending you your new supplies. So essentially right now, the way we are doing it is every 7 weeks, we're going to ship you a new supply box. And that supply box will have your 9 bags or 10 bags, 9 lids, 9 bottles, 9 forks, 9 shipping boxes. And then what else is there? Yeah, that's, so you will every 9 or every 7 weeks. I don't know if you can see, I'm watching Wisconsin 37. He's giving us a live view of out his window. So
I'm just showing you the additional challenges that Florida and North Carolina probably don't have. Always got to be a smart aleck here.
Yeah.
Sorry about that, but I bet
Nope,
you
enjoy
enjoy it. My question has to do with my 8 thumbs and only 2 fingers, trying to get that bag on, and it doesn't seem like I get it really tight around the lip that much. How critical is that? Yeah, I mean, my vacuum's working fine. It does suck it down some, but I seem to have little rimples and dimples and bumps
yeah,
as it's on on the edge there.
And you will, you know, the smoother it is, the easier to get the lid on. But, and then the other thing, you know, because over the course of the week, some of the air gets back into the bucket and the bag's not quite, you know, holding its shape as when you took it out. So depending on the volume of your sample, and some sites have very low volume if they get a sample, one thing you can do is before you when you bring that sample back to your lab or your office, before you take the lid off, so, well, I would say you weigh everything first, and then before you take the lid off, just run the vacuum on it again, and that will kind of evacuate the air again. It'll get rid of some of the wrinkles, and it'll make for decanting a little easier.
Okay. As you can see by my picture, my sample is frozen. Do I wait till it thaws to weigh, or do I weigh while it's still frozen? Last week was my first sample that I took off after switching to bags. And what I did is being the lid was on it, put the empty plastic bag on the top and set something on top just so that it made sure the seal stayed so there wasn't any evaporation, and let it melt at room temperature. And the following day then did my weighing and decanting.
Yeah, and that's a good procedure.
Okay.
I think, Jim, you made a comment about it seems to take longer to melt in the bag than it was in the straight bucket. Jim Secor?
Yeah. Well, yeah, maybe, I don't know. I'm only in my second. This is my second week with the bag system, and I'm still struggling a little bit to get my routine down, get the bag to stretch down over the top of the bucket and get the strap on it. So I'm still in the learning process.
Okay, fair enough.
I have one more question. That box that you send supplies in, and the liter bottles that we don't use, are those going to be shipped back to you, or what do we do?
I think at some point, if you have a buildup of, so if you have dry weeks and you have a buildup of 1 liter bottles, and I think what we'll end up doing periodically is either doing like an inventory. You can let us know what you still have, and then we can ship accordingly. And I think it'll be like maybe, you know, at the halfway mark of the year, we'll kind of figure out what you still have, and then we can adjust accordingly. So yeah, so whatever you don't use, just keep it on hand and just ship back the used lids.
Well, and I'm in Southern Iowa, and we don't have a lot of weeks that we don't have a dribble of water, but over the course of a year, I'd have several bottles that you would need to do something with.
Yeah. What we don't want is for you to, you know, have this, you know, run out of space in your wherever you are with a bunch of bottles. And as well, the bottles we have the used by stickers on the bottles. So.
But so then, can the boxes be recycled then? You'll just adjust sending us less bottles in the future?
Correct. So, okay. And even though the boxes have the barcode labels for your site and that's more for us right now. Kind of, you know, the lab had to transition as well to a new shipping procedure for the bag sampling. So we kind of use the same labels and stuff that we were using previously. So.
Okay.
Jerry?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I'll try to remember to send you an email or something. Also, Maybe not the best time with everybody on, but maybe other people have the same thing. I don't know if everybody has an MDN site. I'm always shipping my bottles in the MDN cooler. And so I really don't need the boxes, except on rare occasions. I've been sending boxes back to you, kind of stuffing them in with the cooler here and there periodically. And one time they got left in the box and they got shipped back to me, and I was just trying to send them back a few at a time. So I don't really need boxes because I've got a good stash now. So I didn't know if I could, just make that point now, and you could cancel boxes for me anyway. And anybody else maybe that has an MDN box, it's less shipping weight and less sending them back and forth.
Definitely. We should have had that note in for your site already, but we will make that.
Okay.
We'll make it known. The other thing you can do, Jerry, or anybody with MDN site, you could also ship your used lids back in the MDN box.
So I can fold them over and do that? It's okay to fold them? Or?
They should fit down the sides or even the ends, or just
on top.
Right.
So I'll put them on the outside of the cooler.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
So that's an option as well, if you have an MDN site.
Okay, good. That's good to know. And I'll just have that mailer in case for whatever reason, I need to send it. I've got that 1 Mylar mailer.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Anyone else? Bonnie, you have any more questions?
No, I think I'm good for now with this subject. It is just, in the past, when I was switching the lids over without gloves, I did always keep that plastic Ziploc bag between me. And so with the gloves on and struggling to put the new lid on, I still have been keeping that Ziploc bag in between, and it's crazy.
Yeah.
So I can take that out now and just have the gloves. Okay.
Yeah.
Just
It'll make it a lot easier. Well, not a lot easier. It'll make it easier.
I was struggling, but again, in another month, this will be routine again, probably. We just, each of us have to work out our kinks and figure out where we make mistakes and learn to not do it again.
Yeah. I think just looking at the names on the participant list, I'm not seeing a lot of people that participated in the December one. So
okay,
I'm hoping that they've got it figured out now. So
good.
But I'm imagine probably, I'm just looking at, maybe in 2 weeks, 1, 2, 3 weeks, we may do another one. Actually 2 weeks, probably 2 weeks, we'll do another one. So if you want to come back then and
I am enjoying hearing everybody else with the same struggles and realizing, okay, this is difficult.
Yeah.
So this is great. I kind of am appreciating this and feeling like part of the whole NADP network, and receiving the annual report was great.
Good.
Because I just inherited this in the past year, this responsibility. So I'm adjusting COVID. I think that's it.
So on the annual summary and calendar front, if you haven't received it, the 20, do I have one here? If you haven't received the 2021 calendar or the annual summary for 2019, just send me an email, or if you want extra copies, send me an email and we can get some more out to you. So. Anybody else? We're getting close to our hour and I think it's gone well.
I had one other quick question that I just thought of here. Sounds like you might do another one of these in case some of my coworkers who haven't been able to get in wanted to. But the other question, I know it says this is recording and stuff. Have you put up the last one or this one or something?
I haven't yet. I will put up both at the same time, and the other one is, it's pretty much, I just have to cut out the the first 5 minutes,
Right, right.
people joining. So, but yeah, I'll aim to get this up by the end of the week.
Okay, because I'll let my coworkers know that maybe there'll be another one, but if they can't make that one, there might be these available
Yeah.
when it goes up. All right, thank you.
Yeah, and having said that, if any of you have, are at your sites taking pictures, submit them, send them in to me, and they could be up. You could be July next year, so we're always looking for photos.
Or you could get the cover. That happens
You
too.
can get the cover. That's right. So. Yeah, so I just want to thank everybody for taking the time out today to join us and share your thoughts and valuable feedback. As I kind of as I tell people when they call the 1-800 number, nothing's set in stone. This is new to us as well, so we're open to taking all the operators' suggestions and feedback, and making it better. Making the procedures better so that it works for everyone. So if no one has anything further, yep. Okay. So I will send out an email with the first training seminar, and then as well as the links for this once it gets up. So thanks again for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's good
Thanks,
to see
Richard.
faces to names.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thanks, everyone. Nice
We'll
to
see you.
Bye.
We did this.